Are we heading for a truce between the Sussexes and the royal family? Will Christmas 2023 finally bring peace after years of turbulence, torment, and some very shady behaviour from the Montecito monsters? Let's get to the crunch. An exciting weekend for the royal family on the global stage as the King and Queen hosted a royal banquet in honour of President Yoon of South Korea and his wife Kim Keon-hee. The unrivaled pomp and ceremony that the British royal family does so well unfolded in Buckingham Palace's ballroom, providing an opportunity to showcase some of the finest fashion and jewels. Catherine, Princess of Wales, wore a tiara previously owned by the Queen Mother. This, my friend, is the Strathmore Rose tiara. Isn't it beautiful? The floral diamond-encrusted tiara is estimated to be worth over £500,000 and hasn't been seen in public for years. It was originally a gift to the Queen Mother in 1926 as a wedding present from her father, the Earl of Strathmore, thus becoming known to the world as the Strathmore Rose. This is one of the more unusual tiaras in the collection, as the flowers, which can be removed and worn as brooches, could originally be swapped out for 5 sapphires. The Queen Mother, recognised as the Duchess of York at that time, wore the tiara for several portraits, styling it low across her forehead, which was fashionable in the 1920s, and also higher on her head from time to time, as we have seen Catherine, Princess of Wales, wearing it at the banquet. It was rarely worn again by the Queen Mother, but most recently displayed to the public at the Victoria and Albert Museum in 2002. Our late Queen Elizabeth inherited the Strathmore Rose tiara in 2002, but never wore it publicly. This is the first time we have seen it worn in almost 100 years. That is very exciting. Meanwhile, across the pond, and that's enough of that. Back to the banquet. The king made a fabulous speech, using his linguistical skills to speak a touch of Korean before his audience of avid listeners broke out into a roaring applause.
영국에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
Whatever he said, I haven't got the foggiest, so feel free to comment below if you have any notions of the Korean language and enlighten us all. Whatever it was must have been interesting, as the entirety of the foyer lapped it up. And just look at the president's expression of joy. Well done, King Charles, ever the charismatic and comedic speaker.
Bloody cold. Well, I tell you, we put the air in here, you see, and if you now do an amazing...
He went on to honour Blackpink, the girl band that has become a global sensation, selling out arenas all across the world, praising them for their efforts in environmental conservation. They clearly were not expecting to be highlighted during the speech, as they looked shocked and elated at the mention. This, I believe, is a very intelligent and genuine effort by the king to connect with younger generations, simultaneously highlighting his passion for the environment. A far stretch from the Sussexes' most recent idiocracy of jumping onto a private jet to see Katy Perry in Las Vegas, a trip that could have easily been swapped for a car journey lasting slightly over 4 hours. A trip that also highlighted the huge inconsistencies in the Sussexes' message to the world about climate change.
We all see a future where people are able to take holidays and trips that have social, environmental and economic benefits to communities and destinations.
Speaking of inconsistencies with the Montecito monsters, suddenly, after years of bashing their family and airing all their dirty laundry on the world stage for millions of viewers to see without giving a second thought to how their actions might have serious repercussions on the physical well-being of the ailing late Queen Elizabeth, the Sussexes want to make amends. They want back into the good books of the royal fold, and allegedly, their Christmas wish is to spend the festive season with the King and Queen at Sandringham. Now, that is a suspiciously quick turnaround. From haters who feel unconditionally sorry for anyone left in the royal family to grovelers desperate to get back in. I have a hunch that William Morris Endeavours WME, who is their agent, may have something to do with this surprising turnaround. Their new agents have a matter of months to make Meghan relevant once again, and we know that the only way she could possibly achieve that is by sliming her way back into the family who offered her a whole new world. The whole thing smells fishy to me. Allegedly, the Sussexes are hoping for an invite to celebrate Christmas with the king after a friendly phone call earlier this week. Someone said, two biggest losers in the world, haunting our country again. Get out, Canadian flag. Angry face. This is obviously someone who's very annoyed at the fact that Harry has come to Canada and has done this puck drop for this hockey event. And this is in an attempt to promote his 2025 Invictus Games, which will be held in Vancouver. But the bizarre thing is obviously he is not a royal anymore, but he is following in the royal footsteps of Queen Elizabeth, who back in 2002 attended the very same hockey ceremony. It is quite refreshing to see the Canadians also don't want them. The Brits don't want them anymore. The Americans, we know, don't want them anymore. And now the Canadians, who are normally known for being the most welcoming. You know you're doing something wrong when you manage to annoy the Canadians. Someone else said they are not working for the British monarchy. Why they walk in the footsteps of the Queen and don't find new projects. They need to be finding something that they can do original, because nobody really knows what they are. They're not royals, they're not celebrities, they're just something in between, and they are sort of figuring out what they're supposed to be doing and what they're not supposed to be doing, and it's just very awkward. You can't have it both ways. People are confused as to what they're doing. Are they walking red carpets with paparazzi, or are they cutting ribbons at ceremonies? Find your identity, people. Someone else said her father would probably love to spend Christmas with his grandchildren. Not even a consideration for obviously Thomas Markle, who is Meghan Markle's father, for WME to send her to see Thomas Markle. I think actually would be good publicity, but it's not enough for what they want. They need her to be relevant, and of course that is with the royal family. It's not with Thomas Markle, who was a light producer or something like of the sorts in Hollywood at one point, but not the royal family, nothing in comparison. He's just a poor old man who would love to see his grandchildren, yet they are wanting to go and see the king and queen. And someone replied to that saying, sadly he won't. He has served his purpose and is no longer required in his daughter's life. Cruel beyond belief. This perfectly sums up what she does. When she needs someone, she uses them. Thomas Markle, he is useless and she doesn't need him anymore. However, the king and queen, they still can be squeezed for what they're worth. I'm sure if the king does stretch out a hand and invite them for Christmas at Sandringham, it will not be for Meghan. It's just because he wants to see his son and his grandchildren. Along with that, unfortunately, is a bit of baggage known as Meghan Markle, who comes with a lot of problems. Someone else said Hank and Skank owe the British royal family a huge apology and could spend the rest of their lives trying to make amends. But in the end, what they put the Queen through during her last years is unforgivable and won't be forgotten. It will be written about for even future generations to know the horrible truth about those two. Actions have consequences, Harry. Get over it. Of course, this will go down in history as one of the more barbaric things that can happen in our day and age. Long gone are the days where we behead people that we don't like. Now it is more a case of going on Oprah and metaphorically beheading them, we could say. Someone else said, who invites their bullies for Christmas? That is very much what it's like. Why would they invite them? Because they have been just so horrible. They've written, obviously, the tell-all book, which just slanders the Queen and the King, and of course his brother. The Oprah interview, which obviously we had the racism allegations coming out there. And then, of course, there was a documentary in which a ton of horrible stuff was said once again about the royal family. So it's going to take a very big person to overcome all of that and actually extend a warm hand of welcome to bring them to Britain to spend Christmas together. Someone else said, no one seems to consider how overwhelming a royal family Christmas would be for Archie and Lilibet. They wouldn't know anyone. there would be lots of people and their parents would be on edge. This is so true. Of course, they're growing up now. They are aware of what's going on around them and they've never met the royal family. They'll be dropped into a completely different culture. And of course, their parents are going to be very uncomfortable because of all of the horrible things that they've done. So that's a very, very valid point there. So let me know what you think by hitting like if you think they should not be invited to Britain to spend Christmas with the royal family, and subscribe to help the Crown family blossom. See you down in the comments.